territory on the far left coast. You're listening to On the Move with Mac Worley III.
And we are back for another exciting episode of On the Move with Mac Worley. I am Mac Worley, by the way. This is the show that attempts to inspire you to stand up for your rights. We have a lot to cover today. Lots going on in the news. Lots being said about racial tension and race in general. I kind of want to cover this stuff. But anyway, if for any of you who are new to the program, the show broadcasts every Sunday, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. That's 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we talk guns, government, politics, stuff like that. So if you guys want to join today's conversation, you can do so in several ways. The first way is give us a call. The number to the show is 360-450-5625. Again, that number is 360-450-5625. You can also email us at talk@onthemoveshow.com. You can message us at facebook.com/onthemoveshow, or you can get us on Twitter at OnTheMoveShow. And anyway, at this point, I just want to give you guys a heads up of some of the stuff that we're going to be covering today, some of our featured topics, and of course, give some promotion stuff, some house cleaning things that we got to take care of here. So first and foremost, today's date is the 22nd of March, 2015. Today's show is titled Starbucks' Race Together hashtag and free speech and racism. We're also going to be talking about mandatory voting. This is episode 66 of On the Move with Mac Worley. So I'm really excited about today's show. If you guys haven't done so already, I would really appreciate it if you run over to Spreaker.com/OnTheMoveShow. Again, that is Spreaker, SPREAKER.com/OnTheMoveShow, and follow us over there. I would appreciate that. And okay, so Starbucks, you may be familiar. They've put out a hashtag now. They're going to be having their baristas talk about race relations in the stores. We're going to discuss that. I got some articles, some clips I want to play regarding this, and we're just going to kind of analyze the situation. And additionally, I posted earlier this week in our group at facebook.com/groups/OnTheMoveShow. If you check it out over there, you'll see a post I was talking about offensive language. It can be with racism, or anything. Do we really believe that our speech is protected? Even the speech that we find completely offensive, and the vast majority of people it would find it offensive. Do we believe that? We're going to talk about freedom of speech, as well as some double standards and some things that we actually, as a society, we don't agree is okay to say. Like, for example, yelling fire in a crowded movie theater. And should there be consequences for your speech, or should there be consequences for your speech if that speech led to something where someone got hurt, injured, things along those lines? We're going to talk about all of this stuff. In addition, we also are going to talk about Obama's suggestion that voting should be mandatory. I have an article about that I'm going to read off and give you my analysis on, and I'd like to hear from you guys on this stuff today. If you have anything on your mind, you agree with me, disagree with me, you want to participate in the conversation in any way, shape, or form, please give us a call. The number to the show is 360-450-5625. Again, that's 360-450-5625. Anyway, so first of all, don't forget to check us out at our website. If you haven't ever been there, you may be listening in a whole bunch of different ways. I'm not sure how you are listening to us, because we have several ways that you can listen to the show. Either at our main hub, OnTheMoveShow.com. That's where we have the web player up at the top, and you feel free to listen that way. You can also go to us directly from Spreaker.com/OnTheMoveShow. And, if you did that, feel free to follow us. Also, we simulcast at haywiregulch.com as well. So we have a 2-hour block from 5 to 7 there. Sometimes we go into our overdrive hour, sometimes we don't. But if we do go into an overdrive, you can always listen to us at our main hub, onthemoveshow.com. So don't forget to like us on facebook.com/onthemoveshow, youtube.com/onthemoveshow, and follow us on twitter.com/onthemoveshow. All right, so let's go ahead and just get into the meat of this thing real quick here. I want to talk about this the Starbucks controversy. All right, this first of all, I'm actually just to be clear about everything, I'm not a fan of Starbucks at all. All right, I don't like their coffee. I don't think it tastes particularly that great, especially for the amount of money that you pay for it. But I also don't like their politics, and it's one thing to not like the politics of a company, but it's another thing for them to just keep shoving that politics down your throat. And that's how I feel with Starbucks. I feel like the owner, I believe his name is Howard Schultz, the CEO, he continues to push his politics out on people. And I've just decided a long time ago, ever since the whole open carry stuff, they came out against open carry essentially. And we're going to cover all of these issues with Starbucks. And by the way, if you choose to provide this business, I'm not making any judgments on you, all right? I personally choose not to, because I don't support organizations or companies that don't support my rights. Now, there's additional reasons why I believe you shouldn't, because of what they're doing, and because it's just kind of silly, and it's overpriced coffee. You can get maybe I'm just cheap, but I honestly I don't even mind. I'm literally drinking a cup of coffee right now that I brewed myself. Wow, crazy, and it cost me pennies to brew. Anyway. So let's start with an article here. Excuse me. Start with an article here from money.cnn.com, and this is the article is actually titled "Starbucks Doesn't Fund Israel," and I want to start with this one because it has an interview that he gave Howard Schultz about his stance on open carry and why they don't want the guns in the store. So again, just to clarify, I have no problem with a private company. I don't think that it's a civil rights violation, because civil rights are the Bill of Rights, for example, is what protects us from the government, not private companies. Private companies, they can do whatever they want. Now, if that private company is receiving money, taxpayer money, that's a different story. And we're going to get into this kind of stuff in a moment here, but I'll let you hear Schultz. You can hear his reasoning behind not allowing guns to be in a store, or at least asking his customers not to bring them in. I want to clarify that. He didn't outright ban them in the store. What he said is, hey, they make people feel uncomfortable, so could you please not bring them in our store? We don't want them to be part of the Starbucks experience. And that's his right to do as a owner of a company, as a CEO of a company. I believe he has every right to do that, just like I have every right to say, okay, well, if you don't want me to have a firearm in the store, then I'm not going to proprietor your business. I'm not going to support you. So that's fine. And for me, I don't even look at this as boycotting. I'm not even necessarily boycotting. I choose to support other businesses that will support my right to keep and bear arms. So anyway, here's a clip real quick. Watch, it's probably going to pop up with an ad because I didn't load this properly here.
Well, Starbucks CEO has a message for all Americans. Your guns are not welcome at Starbucks. Howard Schultz has written an open letter requesting customers no longer bring firearms into any Starbucks store. To be clear, this is a request. It's not a ban, so let's bring in Howard Schultz to talk about it. With me now. Thank you for joining us. Appreciate it, Howard.
Thank you, Poppy.
So first question to you is, why are you doing this, and why are you doing it right now?
Well, I think it's very important just to start the conversation by framing the fact that Starbucks is not a policymaker, and in fact, we're not pro or anti-gun. However, we do believe that guns should not be part of the Starbucks experience. And as a result of that, of making that decision, we are respectfully requesting that those customers who are carrying a gun just honor the request and not bring the gun into Starbucks. We're also saying something else. This is not a ban. And the reason it's not a ban is that we don't want to put our own people in a position of having to confront somebody who's carrying a weapon. And so those customers who will bring in the gun, we hope they won't, we're still going to serve them. We're not going to ask them to leave. But this is a result of a number of things that have happened over the last few months that have put us in a position where I think we've been mischaracterized and misrepresented. And we also feel strongly that in talking to many, many customers, they're coming to Starbucks for a respite, for a sense of community, literally the third place between home and work. And I think they're somewhat jarred by the fact that guns have entered the Starbucks establishment. And I think there's a tremendous amount of confusion and ambiguity about the whole issue of open carry. and hopefully this will clarify our position and the fact that we think this position is made through the lens of civility and respect, and hopefully most people will honor it.
So you also talk in this letter about the fact that you want to give responsible gun owners a chance to respect the request. That's what you say, a chance. And when I read that, my question was,
yes.
Okay, so what happens if a number of them don't respect your request? Does that mean you might move towards a ban?
Well, I think this decision stands on its own merit for today. I have no intention of moving beyond where we are today.
I wonder about those people that really believe that they're uncomfortable in your store without a gun, that carry a weapon to protect themselves, to protect others, and feel that you requesting that they don't bring a gun in puts them in an uncomfortable position. What is your response to them?
I think, Poppy, whenever you take a position of this nature, I think there will be people on both sides of the debate who perhaps will be disappointed or critical with Starbucks' position. What I've tried to do and what our company is doing is really putting our feet in the shoes of our customers. And the vast majority of our customers will be much more comfortable, this is what they've told us, if guns are not part of the Starbucks experience. And so I realize that when you make a decision like this in such a polarizing debate, you're not going to satisfy everyone. We think this is the right decision, the right position for our company and our customers.
Okay, so I'm not going to punish you anymore with that there. So I just want to comment on a couple of things from this video, some of the things he said, and some of my thoughts on this. So first of all, Howard Schultz comes out and says, we're not taking a side, we're not for, guns, and we're not against guns. That's what he says. And, without getting to, I guess, it's really it's hard for me to come up with the word here. Without getting too zealot-like, they really did take a side. I'm not trying to call them out, but it is true. If you say, please do not bring a gun into the store, whether or not you're banning it or not, you are taking a side. You're taking a side that is against guns being in your store. So that would mean that you are against guns. It's not as hard line as saying no guns are allowed in the store, period. If you do, you'll be told to leave, escorted out, the police will be called, yada, yada, yada. That is clearly taking a hardline stance. What he's trying to do is play both sides, basically. He's trying to placate to the majority of the customers, who obviously, and let's be honest, the majority of people probably don't open carry in Starbucks. So from a business standpoint, he's probably making the right decision from a business standpoint. Now, from an individual as a customer standpoint, I just refuse to support that business. Okay, he's probably not going to be hurting because Mac Worley decides not to, go buy some $12 coffee. His business will probably be fine, and that's why I'm not calling for a boycott. I'm not calling for others to join me in this non-supporting of Starbucks. So it's not really a boycott. It's just me deciding not to take my business there. I don't like the fact that they chose business over principle. And if they didn't, if for example that they either chose their business over a principle that they support, or they chose their business and a principle they support. They either did one of those two things. They either don't like guns to begin with, and they're doing this in this way, saying, okay, you can bring them in, but we're asking you not to. We're not going to make you leave. So they either don't want them in their store at all, or they just don't want them in their store, and they want to make their customers happy by releasing this thing. So for me, they either did one of two things. They either went against the principle that they believe in as far as the right to keep and bear arms, or they didn't believe in that principle at all to begin with. So for me, I don't support companies that have no principles. That's the way I look at it. So I won't be buying anything from Starbucks ever again. And though my wife is a big fan of Starbucks, I hope she doesn't either. But again, she'll do whatever she wants, So as far as As far as another issue on this, though, let's actually talk about this in an analytical way here. Let's ask a question. Can Starbucks guarantee that while I'm in their store that I will not have any threats that come up to my life at any point? Will they be able to guarantee the safety of their customers while enjoying the gun-free Starbucks experience? The answer is obviously no. They can't. They cannot guarantee your safety. Even if they hired a security guard, an armed security guard, which again, that would go against what they were saying. They don't want it to be part of the Starbucks experience. But if they had a security guard, then that would be a gun there. And okay, so they obviously can't even do that because that would make guns part of the Starbucks experience. So again, so now we know we have a place. It's a soft target. Criminals know that there won't be any guns in this place because of the information that the CEO has announced. This is big news. Everybody has already known about it. And it's already a place that wasn't a very hard target to begin with, But the only thing you really, as a criminal, would have had to worry about is customers having firearms either concealed or open. Personally, I would be fine if every single one of my customers had guns in my store. If I was running a store, I'd feel safe knowing that nobody's going to be robbing this store because everybody in this store has guns. But some people, again, from a business standpoint, some people may be afraid. You may have these liberals out there who are just afraid of guns. They're afraid at the sight of guns. They instantly wet their pants, okay? And I understand there's people out there that are like that, and they may refuse to go to a place that has guns in there. All right, okay. But, again, if I was running a business, I would be putting my principles over my profits. That's just me. So I can't say that these people should be doing that. All I'm saying is that is what I would do, and I prefer to support companies that do that same thing. But as far as not being able to guarantee their safety, does this open up customers who are victims in their stores? If something happened to these customers, does this open the store up for a lawsuit because they were the ones, the store, Starbucks itself, is the ones that disarmed the customers prior to coming in? So if something happened to them, if they're killed or injured or robbed or anything, is Starbucks liable? That's a solid question. I honestly don't know. I'd like to hear from you guys. I want to have a short little conversation here about it was a sermon that I read. And again, just so you all know, I'm not a very religious person. But there was a sermon that one of our listeners actually linked me to. And, I read it, and it was actually about liberty and, trying to essentially save the country. And, one of the topics that were mentioned in this sermon from a pastor, it was how liberty is kind of like a flowing river. If you lose that liberty, you can't really go back to that time and period. It'd be like trying to capture water that has already passed you in a river. You'll get different. You're getting a different situation. It's a different kind of country every time that water passes. So one thing that he was referring to is that it will take zealots in order to get our liberties back. It's not going to take the meek. It's not going to take the people who are willing to placate to people. It's not going to take compromising and trying to have a bipartisan, across the aisle solution. That's not what it will take. And this is his words. So for me, I happen to agree with this to a point. Now, in terms of being so hardline that you put people off, saying that it's my way or the highway, I'm right and you're wrong, everything that somebody disagrees with me is wrong. I would say that that's probably not the way to do it as far as that. I think for me, in everything I try to do is try to encourage a conversation about it. All right, not so much where I'm, on my soapbox and I'm screaming, although I do that from time to time. I am guilty of that. not so much where I'm doing that kind of thing, but where I find people who are genuinely interested in talking. Now, there's a lot of people who are not interested in any of the debate. They're not interested in the conversation. They're not interested in politics. They're not interested in learning anything new. They're not interested in educating themselves about history or any of the things that we talk about here on the program. And for those people sometimes get sucked up with the left movement. They get sucked into that whole pervasive kind of left thing where it's, if I go and vote for these guys, they're going to give me something free. So, yeah, why wouldn't I do that? I don't know anything about politics, so why wouldn't I go vote for these guys? Because, according to everything I see on TV, all the Republicans are is racist old white people, and, Democrats want to give me free stuff. So, yeah, why wouldn't I do that? And those kind of people, especially if they become hardline, ignorant leftists where they don't know anything about what they're talking about. Oh, I support Hillary and I like her views. Well, name some. I can't do that. I don't know anything about Hillary, actually, now that I think about it. Oh, okay. Well, why did you vote for Obama? Yeah, I did. Well, what do you like about Obama? He's done things, and he's tried, and I don't know. He's anti-war. Oh, well, what about all the bombing that he's conducted? And he's actually escalated and carried on the policies from the Bush administration of droning. So what do you have to say about that? Oh, well, I didn't know that. But I like how he stands on, like, the social issues. Oh, what do you mean, like gay marriage? Yeah, gay marriage. Well, did you know that he was against gay marriage before he was for it? Oh, well, no, I didn't know that. So these are the kind of conversations that I actually like to have with these people. Some of them are going to not even be willing to listen to you, and I get it. At that point, their zealotry, honestly, you have to be a zealot against that kind of stuff, because if they're just ignorant and they're trying to strip away your rights, they're trying to systematically shred the Constitution, those people are zealots, yes. So zealotry, the only way to fight zealotry, I believe, is more zealotry. So you have to be absolutely unequivocally uncompromising in your beliefs. Uncompromising. But you have to have that uncompromising belief based on facts, education, real information, not propaganda, not talking points. You have to understand the philosophy behind your beliefs. That's where I stand on this. But I do absolutely believe that in terms of, for example, the Second Amendment and other individual rights, it's going to take no compromising on these issues. We cannot compromise. What has compromising gotten us? Well, it's gotten us, driver's license. The government somehow forces us to do that. Licenses and all sorts of different things. License to get married, which, by the way, was established as a form of racism. They originally did it to prevent blacks and whites from marrying. So, yeah, all right. We compromised that. Now we have to get permission from the government to perform a religious ceremony, which I'm pretty sure that somewhere in the Constitution it says something about freedom of religion. I could be wrong. Why in the world is the government involved in a religious ceremony? Why? Because we've compromised. We have compromised and compromised and compromised. Now we need a permit to carry a gun, something that's a right. We need a permission slip from the government to do something that is a right that they're not supposed to infringe upon. And it costs money in a lot of places, especially if you want to get a concealed carry permit. They got to do a background check. Wait a second, hold on. I haven't been suspected of a crime. I'm just trying to assert a right that is constitutionally enumerated. This is something that I don't even have to ask you for permission to do, but now you're investigating me as if I've done some kind of crime, or you have reasonable suspicion or probable cause that I've been involved in a crime. No. And I don't remember anywhere in the Constitution, maybe I'm wrong, that says that, the right to bear arms can be infringed if you're talking about concealed carry or something like that. No. What does it matter if I'm hiding it or if I'm showing it? If it's a right, it's a right. And it's laughable. These kind of laws are laughable. First of all, think about it, all right? Think about an actual concealed carry permit, the law, the whole idea, all right? Law-abiding citizens are going to ask their government for permission to hide a gun that they're not going to use in a crime because, by definition, they're law-abiding citizens, and they go through the process, all these hoops to jump through in order to protect themselves. A criminal, somebody who's going to use their gun in a crime, somebody who may have purchased that gun illegally, which is another story, and it's a different topic on this completely, but this person got their gun illegally, has every intention of using it if they want to, or they maybe an opportunity presents themselves, and they conceal it without a permit. How is that permit law working out for everybody? Is that maybe, okay, I get it. If somebody has been pulled over and caught with a concealed weapon, now you have something to get them on. Okay, all right, I got you. You're a criminal. I didn't have anything else, but you got this gun, hidden. So that's what I'm going to take you to jail for. And that's a felony, and you're going to do some time. All of this stuff. So we have innocent people who haven't even committed a crime that can get swept up in this tsunami of people going to jail for concealed carrying. I mean, this is crazy. And then you lose your right to bear arms if it's a felony, how bad it is. I mean, it is unbelievable. And the fact that the felons have lost their right to bear arms, even the non-violent ones, is astounding. We have compromised and compromised and compromised. We are the most compromising people, Second Amendment supporters. We will compromise away the entire right, little by little. And this is what the left does. They get us to compromise. They get us to do all these things. They get us to go out on a limb and say, okay, well, you know what? I can actually empathize with you because I'm a human being. I will try to do things to cater to you because I feel bad for you, and I will try to be, just a nice person and compromise with you. This is what we got. What does the left compromise on? By the way, what have they compromised on this whole process? I mean, according to the left, they would come after every single gun if they could. So I guess their only compromise is that they have allowed us to keep what semblance of rights that we have. They've allowed us to, even though if they could, they would have already taken it. So, really, what have they accomplished, or what have they compromised on at all? I don't believe that they actually have done that much compromising. I think that we are the ones that continue to do that. And even from, our good friend Dianne Feinstein, she says, and I got the clip right here, actually. I'll go ahead and play it for her. She says, Mr. and Mrs. America, turn in all your guns.
If I could have gotten 51 votes in the Senate of the United States for an outright ban, picking up every one of them, Mr. and Mrs. America, turn them all in, I would have done it.
See? I mean, you don't have to take my word for it. You can take their word for it. And, we've got, and I played this clip before, but we've got people who are in positions of power who want to come after your guns, who want to literally brainwash people into thinking about guns in a radically different way.
We want to have, as part of the gun initiative, though, an informational campaign to really change the hearts and minds of people in Washington, D.C., and in particular our young people. They are saturated in the media and in entertainment, or by the entertainment industry, with violence. And I think too many of our young people, in particular our young men, are fascinated with violence, and in particular fascinated with guns. And what we need to do is change the way in which people think about guns, especially young people, and make it something that's not cool, that it's not acceptable, it's not hip to carry a gun anymore. In the way in which we've changed our attitudes about cigarettes. When I was growing up, people smoked all the time. I mean, both my parents did. But over time, we changed the way in which people thought about smoking, and so now we have people who cower outside of buildings and kind of smoke in private and don't want to admit it. And that's what I think we need to do with guns, really change the way in which people think about guns. Now, this is not going to be something that's very easy to do, because we are, quite frankly, fighting something that appears, every day on television, on the radio, in our popular music. in movies that these kids are exposed to. It will be an effort that will entail things that I'm really not familiar with. I think I'm a pretty good lawyer, but we need to get really innovative, creative things that are going to grab the attention of these kids and change, as I said, the way in which they think about guns. And so what I've asked is that the creative community in Washington, those ad agencies that create these snappy ads and make me buy things that I don't really need, devote that talent in a more constructive way so we can get at the minds of these young people. This informational campaign, I've also called on the newspapers and the television stations to devote to us time and space so that we can get these ads, so we can use these spots, and not to give us 1, 2 o'clock in the morning ads when nobody's watching, but at the time when people, particularly young people, are watching television, so that when they're watching, the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air or Martin or whatever else they watch, and yeah, I watch those things once in a while, so that they'll see these ads and they'll be grabbed by these ads. I've also asked people who have influence over youngsters, entertainers, athletes, to be involved in this program as well. But not only them, community leaders, Jesse Jackson, Mayor Barry, people who have credibility with young people should be on the television, on the radio, as much as we possibly can, and telling these youngsters that it's wrong to carry a gun, and that if you have information about people who are carrying guns, you've got to share that with Chief Thomas and with his people as well. I've also asked the school board to make a part of every day some kind of anti-violence, anti-gun message. Every day, every school, at every level. One thing that I think is clear with young people and with adults as well is that we just have to be repetitive about this. It's not enough to simply have a catchy ad on a Monday and then only do it every Monday. We need to do this every day of the week and just really brainwash people into thinking about guns in a vastly different way.
Okay. So that was the main part there. This whole idea, you can hear it's incremental, it's chipping, it's working on the psyches of young people. That's the goal. They want to change the way that the people who have yet to even have an opportunity to make up their mind about firearms. They want to change the way that those people think. They know that they're not going to be able to win you and me over because, according to them, we're too hardline. We actually have an opinion. We've already formed our belief on this subject. And by the way, for those of you who don't know, that was Attorney General Eric Holder speaking. That whole thing was Eric Holder, our Attorney General of the United States. This was a few decades, I think it was in the 90s when he said he was talking about Martin and Fresh Prince. But still, he's in a position of power now. He's the top cop, essentially. He's the top law enforcement official in the United States. And he's talking about brainwashing children. Does anybody else have a problem with this? This is incremental. That's what it is. We compromise. We let our children also watch this weapon of mass destruction known as television, where they are not able to even understand a conversation yet, but yet they are getting a particular viewpoint injected into it. You think you're sitting down and you're watching a story, but what you are watching a story. But at the same time, in so many programs that are out nowadays on television, they're inserting a political view. And I had a conversation with this a little bit ago. The person I was talking about, we were talking about television, and they were saying that, well, isn't that kind of what you do? You talk about your viewpoint. Why are you bashing somebody who is doing the same thing? They're telling their viewpoint. What I have a problem with is propaganda. That's what a lot of television shows are nowadays, especially those that are meant to give you a certain message. Like, for example, Scandal. That is one of those shows. And what I don't like about it is that it will sit you down. You think you're getting a television show. You think you're watching a show, checking out a story, and then suddenly, they present you with, okay, these guys are bad guys in politics. It's a political viewpoint that they're shoving down your throat without you even realizing it. And, it's not a big deal for people like me and probably like you. You already know where you stand. You can spot this stuff when you see it. You're like, oh, okay, they're a bunch of leftists trying to indoctrinate me. Okay. But a lot of people out there can't, and especially our children. All right? Our children are young and impressionable. And if they keep getting pounded day in, day out over their head, saying that guns are bad, Republicans are evil racists, Democrats are the best people ever, those are the good guys, these are the bad guys. If they keep getting pounded day in and day out and they don't have strong parents that are continuing to reaffirm and educate these kids on right values, correct values, all right? And again, I'm not trying to say that I am right on everything. I'm wrong almost all the time. In fact, you guys call me out on it, and for that, I fully appreciate it. Thank you for calling me out on my mistakes. But that's what this is. This is opinion. When you're sitting down and you're listening to me, or you've downloaded the podcast and you're listening to your headphones while you're driving or something, or you got it playing over your car or speaker or whatever. You know what you're getting into. This is an opinion show. I'm giving you my perspective on the news. I'm giving you my perspective on just events. Maybe you also just kind of like me. Maybe. I don't know. But there's something about this that has brought you here, and you know what you're getting into. I'm not trying to slide in and do something that you weren't expecting. You are getting what you expected when you listen to the show. And that's what I don't like about television shows, how they do that. So I feel like they've been brainwashing. They've been using these kind of tactics. And another thing I want to talk about here in particular is, this kind of this whole compromising your rights away. I've played this, but it's kind of, I wasn't even expecting to really talk about gun rights that long. We've been on it for 36 minutes here, and we haven't even, we got a lot to cover back with Starbucks here. We're still going to cover the race together and all the other stuff that's going on. But I'm feeling this. I'm feeling this right now. I think it's important that we talk about this. I want to play a quick clip from a Holocaust survivor. Her name is Katie Worthman, and she's talking about what it was like in Germany during the Holocaust and what happened, what events led up to that, particularly regarding gun control.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, Katie Worthman.
Thank you very much. I was born in Austria, and I lived there 7 years under Hitler's brutal regime. And after World War II, 3 years under Soviet communist occupation. In 1938, the media reported that Hitler rode into Austria with tanks and guns and took us over. Not true at all. The Austrian people elected Hitler by 98% of the vote by means of the ballot box. Now, you might ask, how could a Christian nation, almost 100% Catholic, to elect a monster like Hitler? The truth is, at the beginning, Hitler didn't look like or talk like a monster at all. He talked like an American politician. We also had gun registration. Oh, the Austrian people all had guns. But the government said guns are very dangerous. Children are playing with guns, hunting accidents happen, and we really have to have total control, safety.
Okay, so that's what we're hearing nowadays, too. We're hearing that we need to compromise because, gun violence. And in some of the latest things, the M855 round, the green tip ammunition, which, by the way, they backed off on. They were going to try to ban this 5.56 .223 caliber ammunition for an AR-15 or M4 platform. They were going to ban it. The BATFI, Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, they were going to ban this thing. Try to slip it in. See if they could, get it passed. But they weren't able to. They were not able to. We caught them. caught them with their hand in the cookie jar. They're like, "Oh, I'm sorry, my bad. That was a clerical error. We didn't really want to go after this ammo." But they're using it as a reason that it's armor piercing and that it's a cop killer round, even though there are no statistics whatsoever that have been able to been found anywhere. I've been looking. I can't find one. If you guys find something, please let me know. But no cop has ever been killed, according to anything I can find, or several other authorities on the subject can find. So, even though no cops have been killed, it's still an excuse. Oh, we got to get it. We got to officer safety. Oh my God, I'm so tired of that excuse. National security. Oh God, national security. We should be able to see everything that's going on in your home. Officer safety. We need to just totally take away all of your rights because who knows? I mean, you could be a threat. These two excuses are so overused, and I'm tired of it. If somebody is using it, they're using a statist excuse. There's a reason why we have checks and balances. There's a reason why we have rights. Because if you can figure out without it's not even that hard to get probable cause. Probable cause isn't like beyond a shadow of a doubt you're guilty. Reasonable suspicion. It's not beyond a shadow of a doubt. It's just, I got a reasonable suspicion that you have committed a crime. There's some reason. You have to have a reason. It's called logic and reason, those kind of things. So when you're talking about stopping people, restricting their rights, things along those lines, you have to have a reason. It can't just be illogical. It can't just be emotional. It can't just be because you want to or you got a hunch. You have to have a reason. So, anyway, this kind of chipping away, these kind of excuses, this happened in Germany as well, and it's happening here in America. Katie Worthman goes on.
And we had criminals again. And the only way that we can trace the criminal was by the serial number of the gun. So we dutifully went to the police station and we registered our guns. Not long after, they said, no, it didn't help. The only way that we don't have accidents and crimes, you bring the guns to the police station and then we don't have any crimes anymore and any accidents. And if you don't do that, capital punishment. So that's what we did. So dictatorship didn't happen overnight. It took 5 years, gradually, little by little, to escalate up to a dictatorship. When the people fear the government, that's tyranny. But when the government fears the people, that's you. That's liberty. Keep your guns, and buy more guns.
I think that's powerful. Honestly, I think that is one of the most powerful clips I have ever had the privilege of listening to. Somebody who has survived the kind of tyranny that we always talk about. A lot of times when it comes down to it, a lot of us will say, what's the purpose of the Second Amendment? It's a hedge against tyranny. And what does that mean? This is what it means. They start to disarm you. Your own government is a force, literally a force. That is what they do, is they enforce, they force people, they use coercion. That's what the government is. And the only way to really essentially keep these people at bay is to have a Second Amendment, to have the right to keep and bear arms. Yes, and we all have that right. It's innate, but they have to respect it. They have to respect it. And if they don't respect it, then we have to make them respect it. And again, I'm actually not a violent person. I'm a bit of a pacifist myself. I don't particularly like the whole idea of hurting other people. I don't want to hurt anyone. But if at the same time, if I am put in a position where it's my life, my liberty, my property, my family, any of those things, it's an easy decision. I will defend myself. I will defend my family. I will defend my property. I will defend. I think many of you will feel the same way, but that is the purpose of the Second Amendment. It's not to go hunting. You can use it to go hunting, but that's not what it's for. It was such an afterthought even with our founders that it almost didn't even get included in the Constitution because they thought it was it's just common sense that people should have the right to keep and bear arms. But they made sure they put it in because they didn't want to not include it because the government, this is what they do. If it's not strictly prohibited, and even if it is, they're going to find ways to restrict it. Even things that they're absolutely not allowed to do or be involved in, they are and they do. That's the point of the Second Amendment. So back to Starbucks. Starbucks doesn't believe in your right to keep and bear arms in their store. They can't guarantee the safety of their customers. And what's it matter if you have a concealed carry gun or an open carry gun? And what does it matter anyway? And think about it statistically. How many open carriers are ordering coffee, right before they go on a mass shooting? How many? With their gun openly carried. How many of them are just walking around, talking to people, holding flags, signs, shaking hands, passing out pamphlets? How many of these kind of people do this, go open carry, and then are involved in a mass shooting? The answer, by the way, in case you weren't sure about it, is zero. The answer is zero. 0 people have ever open carried in that capacity and then gone on a mass shooting. It's never happened. Now, what mass shooters may do is they get out of their car with their guns and go straight to the place that they're going to shoot. But do you think that a sign or a policy has prevented anyone ever from doing a mass shooting? They had every intention from walking into the store and shooting everyone in the place. They were going to do it, but then they got up to the store's door and it said, no guns allowed. And that suddenly just made them, crap. I can't bring my gun in here. It's going to be hard for me to go on a mass rampage without my gun, so I'm going to have to find somewhere else to go. No, criminals don't do that. They don't care about your little signs. The only people that care about those signs or policies are law-abiding citizens, and those are the people that you didn't have to worry about. Those people weren't going to hurt you. They weren't going to hurt anybody. So anyway, that's why I don't support Starbucks. But let's talk about this Race Together hashtag that they're doing now. All right, for those of you who are unaware of this hashtag, essentially what they're doing, and Howard Schultz is come out and said that he wants to start a conversation about race in America. All right, and I find it pretty comical, especially some of the backlash they've got on this. I don't have any problem talking about race. We can talk about it all day long. I personally. I look at people based on the content of their character, not the color of their skin, their ethnicity, their background, not by anything other than just really what they say and do. That's how I feel anyway. And I personally I don't really think much about race. For those of you who don't know, I'm actually in an interracial marriage, so I mean it just really doesn't mean a whole lot to me as far as race. Now. Here's an interesting side note. I'm proud of my race. I'm proud of my heritage and things like that. But it's a weird thing because we get being a white male. I'm often shocked at how many people are offended when somebody says that they're proud to be white, or the stigma behind that. So anybody else could say, I'm proud to be black, I'm proud to be Asian, I'm proud to be anything. I mean, they could say whatever, and that just seems like totally okay to everyone else. But if I was to say I'm proud to be white, I am. I'm proud of my race. I'm proud of who I am. I'm proud of my ancestry. I'm proud of all this. There's a lot to it. A lot of people came before me, but it's a weird double standard that we're supposed to have white guilt. We're supposed to be, really ashamed of our ancestry. I like history, and I've done research on things. I have family. According to some of the stuff I've done in my ancestry research and stuff, I got family that fought in the Revolutionary War. I still got to double check all this stuff and see if it's actually accurate. But I think that's kind of cool. I also found out that I got family that fought on the side of the Confederacy on the South. Now, again, I don't know if this is accurate. This is just something I found on one of those websites, but as far as that, I'm not ashamed that my family fought on the side of the South. You know, I mean, first of all, many of these people probably did it to get their family money, you know, just to provide a living. Times were tough back then. Also, that's where they lived. They lived in the South, so you know, obviously you're gonna end up in kind of a situation like that. If you live in the South, you're either gonna leave the South and go to the North to fight, or you're going to fight in the South. I mean, one of those two. So maybe that's what happened, or maybe, you know, I just had some racist family. I don't know, but the point is, those people aren't me, you know. And again, I'm not gonna feel guilty for something that somebody else in my family has done. Why would I feel guilty over someone else's actions? I didn't have those actions. I didn't support slavery. I don't support slavery. You know, I'm just going to the store to pick up some flip-flops, man. You know, don't make me feel bad about something somebody did hundreds of years ago. You know, it's not my fault. You know, I didn't have anything to do with that. So, you know, the point is that, you know, it's the whole race conversation is contentious, though, and everything about it. There's people on both sides, and it's emotionally driven. This argument, a lot of people have a lot of charged emotions behind this debate and conversation, and obviously so. You know, a lot of people have experienced racism in their life, and to that, you know, it's horrifying and shocking. It sucks that people still are racist to this day. There are still racist people out there, and I'm not denying in any way, shape, or form that people are racist. However, I don't think this is a great idea to talk about this in a business. Now, let's talk about the business side of this, okay? Starbucks, it is a business. They chose a profit situation over their principles, or over something that maybe they did choose their principles. Maybe they actually didn't support the Second Amendment before, okay? And that's what I think is what's going on here. I think they're typically kind of leftist. So they chose to support their principle, which they believe in, if not supporting the Second Amendment, not believing in the right of individuals to keep and bear arms, not believing in open carry. So they stuck with their principle on that, which, okay, I don't want to support a company with that kind of principle. But however, let's see that trend. If that is the trend, then okay. Then they stuck to their principles on this, as Howard is saying that he wants to do. He says, you know, he wants to, you know, have this conversation. He doesn't care if people tell him not to. He doesn't care if it's a bad idea. Howard Schultz, the CEO of Starbucks, wants to have his baristas participate in this conversation. Baristas. And they're going to do so by writing on your cup. Something, you know, hashtag race together, and maybe something else. I don't know. It's going to instigate a conversation. So in a contentious issue. So obviously, this situation right here alludes to the fact that this guy will choose his principle over business, which really I think does carry some weight on the open carry conversation, because he's not somebody who's all about the Benjamins. You know, he's not only about his money for his company, not all about profit. He's about his political views more so, his principles. So, again, I just believe now that they are anti-Second Amendment, they're anti-gun rights, because they stuck to their principles. If this is a trend, that's what I believe. So, I'd like to hear you guys' input on that. So they want to have this. They don't care if it's going to hurt profits. They don't care if it's going to cause problems for their baristas. One thing in particular, too, I think is kind of funny, is that Howard Schultz said that he didn't want to put his baristas or his employees in the position to have to ask somebody to leave in this uncomfortable position. So that's why he just made it a suggestion, basically, a request, please don't bring your guns in here, but you know, if you do, we're not going to ask you to leave, kind of thing, because he didn't want to put this position, his baristas, in an awkward position. Well, what does he think is going to happen with hashtag race together? What is he thinking? You know, if this is such an important conversation about a obviously contentious issue, if this is so important that we have to have it before we get our first frigging cup of coffee in the morning, it's that important. And by the way, I'm like many of you guys. I am not functional until I have at least one cup of coffee. I can't even. I speak in a series of grunts and blinks. So if I haven't had my coffee, I'm not going to be very receptive to your stuff that you're trying to tell me, especially if it's if I feel like I'm being slammed, you know, like I don't want to participate in this conversation, but yet you're forcing me to. You've ambushed me in this conversation. I think this is pretty dumb. But additionally, it goes against the policy of putting his baristas in an uncomfortable position. Obviously, this is an uncomfortable position to put his baristas in. But on to that, too, if this is so important, why is he giving this job to his baristas? Obviously, this is like the low man on the totem pole as far as the company's concerned. He could have released a press statement, given interviews. He could have, from a CEO standpoint, done more than include just the low man on the totem pole, the baristas. He's basically tasked this job down to them. He's delegated to the lowest level possible. Hey, guys, why don't you go ahead and just talk about this? I won't talk about it, but you guys are going to be the ones that will be put in this awkward position. Not me. You guys. So, anyway, that's kind of where I stand about it. But anyway, at this point, we're going to cut to a quick commercial break. We're long overdue. I realize we've gone for 55 minutes without a commercial. But anyway, when we get back, we're going to talk more about this. We have some conversation. I want to talk about free speech and offensive speech. I got some other clips, and I want to read an article about mandatory voting suggested by Obama. So anyway, we'll be right back, guys. Don't go anywhere.
Oath Keepers is a nonpartisan association of current active duty military, reserve, guard, veterans, peace officers, and firefighters who will fulfill the oath we swore, with the support of like-minded citizens who take an oath to stand with us, to support and defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. So help us God. Join us at oathkeepers.org.
Support On The Move. Help us make this podcast bigger and better. You can do this by going to our store and purchasing one of our hundreds of products. All designs are original and made for patriots like you. Just go to cafepress.com/OnTheMoveShow. We appreciate your support. Hi, I'm Latasha Worley, and I work with candidates to creatively and effectively communicate their message to voters. I offer professional graphic design services, from yard signs to flyers, from logos to vehicle magnets. Email me today at latashaworley@gmail.com. That's LATOSHA Worley@gmail.com for a quote on items for your campaign.
Broadcasting from deep within occupied territory on the far left coast. You're listening to On the Move with Mac Worley III. Stand up, speak out, and get on the move. And now your host, Mac Worley III.
And we're back. All right, Mac, back. So when we last left off here, we were talking about Starbucks, their whole hashtag Race Together campaign. And I want to bring up an article here on the dailymail.co.uk, and it's referring to Starbucks, and one of the executives over there, he actually deleted his account. Let me read the headline here on the Daily Mail. Starbucks hit by cascade of negativity after ordering staff to talk racism with customers. Vice President forced off Twitter as angry public turns on patronizing project. Howard Schultz, boss of Starbucks, told baristas to write Race Together on the cups in an effort to stimulate debate about racism. Twitter users quickly branded the campaign patronizing and cringe-inducing, and subjected executives to a wave of mockery. One user pointed out that no black people featured in publicity for photographs for the campaign. That's actually pretty comical when you think about it. It's a bunch of white hands talking about racism. You know, pretty pretty ridiculous. And obviously you can't just. It's so contentious. This whole issue is just so contentious. Everybody's so uptight about racism. Everyone. Okay, look, you're one race, I'm a different race, whatever. We can all be friends, right? Can't we? Can't we all just get along? That's what I say anyway. But everybody's so hostile about it. And granted, some people have seen real racism in their life. But it wasn't by me. I never enslaved anybody. There's no. Let's stop looking at racism. Additionally, okay, I think it's racist for people to judge people for their race. All right, that's racism. So if I'm looking at you and I'm like, oh, because you are this race, you're likely this way, that would make me racist. Okay, just like if you're looking at me and you say, oh, white male, you've got to be racist. That was incredibly racist of you to infer to me based on my sex and my race. That is racist and sexist. I'm so tired of this whole double standard where, it's okay to be racist against white people. I am so sick of that. Racism is racism. It doesn't matter if you're racist against somebody who's Hispanic, white, black. It doesn't matter. If you are being racist, if you're judging someone based upon their race, if you're making judgments about somebody, generalizations about somebody based upon their race, you are engaging in racism. So it's a little hypocritical for people to say, oh, white male's racist. That's all I'm saying, because you don't know me. You don't know what I'm about. All right? Just like I don't know what you're about, I will make my decisions and judgments on you based on the content of your character, your words, and your actions. Those are the only qualifiers, really. So, anyway, Corey Dubrawa, I believe that's how his name is pronounced, a Starbucks PR executive, was forced to delete his Twitter account as he felt overwhelmed by the volume and tenure of the discussion. Oh, poor Starbucks guy. I bet he's making a buttload of money, by the way. So, what, if you're making that kind of money, I'm sure you could probably just, suck it up and take the heat for your boss's actions. But he went ahead and he just deleted it. This kind of, and I'm looking right now. I'm looking at the promotion pictures that they took for it for the campaign. It's only white hands. The only people in this is white people. Wow. But I think this is kind of ridiculous. If you're going to take a stand against something like this, if you want to have a conversation, and I don't necessarily think that having a conversation about racism is a good thing, especially something that's not guided. There's no. Who knows what kind of training these baristas had? Any? Did they have any training at all? Is that something that actually has been conducted? Do these baristas go through some kind of week-long, racial sensitivity course or something like that? Which, by the way, I think those are pretty much a joke as well. But did they receive anything? Is this structured? Is this organized in some way? Is there guidance? Are they guiding the conversation a certain way? I don't think that just an outright conversation on racism is necessarily a good thing. Sometimes no conversation is better than having a conversation, especially if it's unguided. It could lead to bad situations. It, first of all, could be just a long conversation. First of all, that could absolutely happen. You can imagine how annoying that would be for you as a customer, just trying to get your morning freaking cup of coffee, and even if you're not the one that's being clubbed over the head with this, if you're just behind the guy who's being clubbed over the head with this, who doesn't want to participate in this, or he does and he's really excited and he wants to have that conversation, that's great. But now you're behind him in line. You want your coffee. I'm in a hurry. I got to go to work. Let's go. Come on. Let's go. It could lead to problems, slowdowns in the lines. It could also make people angry and leave. They could just not do it. Additionally, it could get way out of hand and somebody could actually start a fight in there. It could a big brawl. What kind of liability is this taking? I think companies like this, like Starbucks, are just taking way too many risks as far as liability. They're putting their customers at risk. They're not allowed to be armed in the store. Now they're putting customers at risk where something could happen, some kind of violent altercation could happen within the store. And now these customers are disarmed, by the way. So who knows where it could go from there. But again, and they can't even take the backlash from the negativity that they hit with this. And there's just so many things about this that are just ridiculous. So, I'm not going to feel sorry for you, Mr. Starbucks executive, because you had to delete your Twitter account. You can't take a little bit of criticism. Then maybe you should get another job. You're the head of PR, aren't you? This is what I'm looking right here. Okay, where'd he go? Corey Dubois, a Starbucks PR executive. That's public relations. That's his job. His job is PR. His job is public relations. And he deleted his account. Does anyone else see the irony there? Oh, man. Okay, so that's that's kind of where I stand on that. These are reasons why I'm not going to deal with this. But the whole pretentiousness of this racism conversation, how they just automatically assume because it is inherently racist as well. This assumption that oh, you're white, you should feel guilty. You've got this white guilt. All this stuff. This is what it's leading to. I want to play a clip, and I think this is a hilarious parody. By the way, this is a parody. All right, so it's not real. It's not a real thing, but it's just, I think this is what we're going to end up. This could actually work. All right, this is a YouTube channel called Above Average, and it's a joke social media app. And this is a parody that they do. It's called ThingStarter, kind of like Kickstarter, and it's parody videos of overzealous entrepreneurs trying to promote something or get it funding for it, like these crowdsourcing things for a product that is just a little misguided. And I don't think that this product is. It's called I Not Racist. So I think that one day, if this app actually got released, people would use it. And I'm going to go ahead and play the clip for you guys. You guys will crack up.
Hi.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, no problem. Hi, ThingStarter. If you're like me, you're always opening doors for African Americans.
Okay, so you guys couldn't see it. Obviously, it's a video. He just opened up a door for an African American woman.
It's the right thing to do, and it proves you're not a racist. But don't you wish you could get credit for all of this non-racism? That's why I created I Not Racist. I Not Racist is a groundbreaking social media app that lets you show the world exactly how not racist you are.
And he's sliding a picture of an Asian woman on his desk in plain view. I don't know who that is, but it's basically alluding, look, I'm not racist.
I Not Racist points for everyday not racist things, such as friending the Latino guy from lunch, or voting for an African American politician, or dating an Asian person. Your I Not Racist score is definitive proof of how racist you're not. And it determines your ranking on the I Not Racist scoreboard. Compete against your friends and family to see who's the least racist. Oh, sorry, Uncle Bobby. I Not Racist is great for minorities, too. Let's say you're at a party. You can use the non-racist finder to tell who's racist and who isn't. But to make I Not Racist the world's most effective non-racism ranking app, I need your help, ThingStarter. I'll hire a team of diverse programmers to implement new features, like the ability to break down your I Not Racist score by ethnicity, and a dating feature so you can meet fun, not racist singles in your area. Not really into white girls, but... And not racist trivia games, where your not racist knowledge can earn you bonus I Not Racist points. You know what I have a dream about? Earning funding for this project. Pledge at the $50 level, and you'll not only receive the download of I Not Racist, you'll also get the official I Not Racist t-shirt, available in white, black, brown, yellow, and a proud Native American red. Pledge at the $100 level, and you'll receive all of the above, plus the highly coveted Abraham Lincoln badge. It's a proclamation that you're not racist. Pledge $500, and you'll receive all of that, plus the I Not Racist portable door. So you can be not racist wherever life takes you.
All right, so there's more to the video. You guys can check it out on their YouTube channel. Again, that's Above Average. Feel free to like their stuff. They got a lot of funny stuff on there. But anyway, this is a pretty comical thing. I honestly think that the more we go in this conversation, the further along that we get, the more PC it is, the more ridiculous it gets, and this couldn't be too much of a bad idea. Honestly, I think this thing would actually take off in a few years if things keep going as it is. You know, we were supposed to have much better race relations now that we have Barack Obama in the office. He was supposed to bring us all together, and it doesn't seem that way. It doesn't feel that way. I feel like there's more tension now about races than I've ever experienced in my lifetime. I'm recently 30 years old now, and I just really didn't talk about it. It wasn't a big deal. It wasn't again, I think this is something that it's been systemic. It's been here. I'm not saying that there's no such thing as racism, but I just don't think that it was that big of an issue up until now. We have race baiting going on, and people are making such a big deal about it. Granted, it's a big deal if it's happening to you and those that have to experience that. It's also a big deal to anyone that experiences racism at all. It doesn't matter what race you are. It's wrong. It's wrong to be racist. However, I want to talk a little bit about freedom of speech. All right, so as far as before we get into the freedom of speech, I want to talk one more time here about as far as this thing. How often we're told that racism is happening all across the country, and it's very systemic. If it is so systemic, if it's really happening all over the place, and there's so many examples of businesses and organizations, or even the government assaulting the rights of a minority or something along those lines, why are we being shown all these hoaxes that take place? By the way, they're all the time happening, and what excuse that a lot of people give is that, okay, we're bringing attention to this. We're starting a conversation about it, kind of like the Race Together thing. We're highlighting this issue and we're talking about it. Well, there were these whites only stickers that were being stuck in Austin around the place during the South by Southwest event that goes on in there. I don't even know what that is, honestly. Just so you know, I'm so far out of the musical scene. I listen to talk radio. I don't listen to music that often, but. As far as the hoaxes that are going on here, we're being told that things that are happening, but they end up being a hoax. Like the sticker that was posted around South by Southwest. It says exclusively for white people, maximum of 5. I'm not going to use the word. Let's say minority customers accepted. So, this isn't even real. If this was real, it would be something to get involved in. But these things usually aren't real. Typically, they aren't real at all. So in this one, let's see. We heard a little while ago that there were swastikas on a Jewish fraternity. Whenever these events occur on campus, it is virtually always turns out to be a left-wing stunt. In this one in particular, a Jewish student admitted that he made the swastikas himself a few days later. And then we all heard about the white stickers only popping up in Austin during the International South by Southwest music festivals. The Austin case was interesting because someone went to great lengths to print large, full-color stickers. They said whites only and were placed in numerous businesses. And apparently a left-wing activist, a radical left-wing activist, has now claimed responsibility. And, these are the things. Why are you doing this? If you're not racist, okay, and you're trying to help the conversation, this is the thing. The left is not trying to actually be the mediator in this conversation. They're trying to instigate, trying to make you feel uncomfortable, trying to make you think that racism is a bigger deal in our country than it is, because it separates us, it divides us, it keeps us from unifying, it keeps us from coming together on issues of common sense, like rights, property, the right to self-defense, the government growing too much. All of these things, this is why it's being perpetuated. The race baiters out there, this is why, in my personal opinion, that we are being told that it's such a big deal now. And maybe it's becoming a big deal now because so many people are buying into this propaganda. A lot of people are picking their sides in this debate, and some people are going one way, some people are going another way. And, a lot of people like me and you are getting left in the middle here. We're like, hey, we get it. Racism sucks. So we're not racist. We don't want a part of that. But we also don't want a join the side of the leftists who are saying that, screaming about hands up, don't shoot, when it's false. It is a lie. It was a lie perpetuated by a witness who was unreliable, and the forensic evidence and other witnesses basically prove that. And that's in the DOJ report. Eric Holder. And he's the one that's coming after Darren Wilson. This is the guy whose job was to get him. He wanted to get him. Prove that he was a racist cop so he could endorse this media and perpetuate it and just keep pushing this whole thing that race tensions are so high, and they had to find something. They had to find something that to get this department on. So they investigate and they find out that, hey, you issue tickets to a majority of African Americans, so that means that you're racist. However, Ferguson is a majority African American city. So as far as the population, there's the areas that they police are majority African Americans. That's kind of why you're going to get more African Americans receiving tickets. There are some things that factor into this other than just the raw statistics. So anyway, we're being told by the left that this is a big deal. This is a huge incident where so many people are being racist. Even in the Ferguson department, they talked about how they went through all these emails and they found a few police officers out of the department sending racist emails back and forth to each other. By the way, those few racist police officers have been discharged rightfully off of the force. They should have been kicked off the force. I completely agree. But it doesn't mean that it's systemic. It's not that the whole department is racist. But that's not the narrative that the left wants us to believe. They want us to believe that everyone it has something going on in this department. The whole department's corrupt. It's very, very frustrating. And by the way, I want to give a correction from my story last week. I just remembered. Last week I was talking about the two officers that were shot in Ferguson, and I was confusing that with the officers that were shot. The two officers that were shot previously to that, those officers had died. These two actually did not die in Ferguson, and I reported that they did. So I just want to correct that fact. I want to let you guys know that I made a mistake. I was confused, and I just want to report that again, that correction. So, but anyway, this is the issue. I have a major problem with people telling me how to feel, what to believe, and doing so with faulty information. If you're it's okay if you're going to tell me your opinion. That's great. By the way, that's what I do. I'm telling you my opinion. You are free to not believe me. In fact, I fully encourage you to think for yourself. Do not believe everything I say like it's scripture. Look it up. Challenge me. Challenge yourself, more importantly. That's the most important thing. Understand the philosophy, understand what you think and you believe, and then it doesn't matter. Nothing else matters if you understand your philosophy. If you get what you feel about freedom, liberty, all right, those kind of things, what people have the right to do. Once you have your own, it's your own. You can continue to develop it. And by the way, I continue to develop mine daily. I'm constantly trying to figure out, okay, there's some gray areas in this. What did we do? What do we do there? What do we do there? Everything doesn't work. It's not a cookie cutter philosophy. But that's why we challenge ourselves. We debate. We talk about it. We have, education on the subject. We read books. Those kind of things. It's great. But let's move forward here. I want to talk about free speech and offensive speech, and particularly, about we've been talking about racism. I want to kind of change the subject just to speech in general, like that we all disagree with. So, a lot of people have views that you and I aren't going to agree with. Like, for example, one of these pages, I made a post on our group, by the way, and if you're not a member, you should be. I don't know what you're doing. You got to be a member of our group. Join it, man. It's fun. Facebook.com/groups/OnTheMoveShow. That is our Facebook group. We have a lot of conversations. I post articles on there, stuff that I'm going to comment on throughout the week or something along those lines, things I want to hear your opinion on. When you comment on it, you have an opportunity here to where your comment could be on our show. And this latest comment I posted, I asked, what do you guys think about this page? And this page is on Facebook. It's remove the F the troops page, all right? Essentially, screw the troops page. And, that's a mantra that I disagree with. And, the whole reason how I found out about this, somebody invited me to like the page. Like the page, remove the screw the troops page. But it was the F the troops page. And, at first I'm like, well, yeah, I disagree with that, but I'm not going to like it because I don't want to promote censoring someone's speech. And that is a big deal to me. I personally, I don't like it when I'm put in a position where somebody's done something offensive or they're creating a disturbance. We had a situation I'm not going to get into very much, but we had a situation where we had a very disruptive member in the group that was, spreading lies. And, that member, I left the stuff that they posted out. I didn't delete the post, but I had to get rid of the member because they weren't going to be a constructive member of the page. And I also let everyone vote on what to do. And the vast majority of you voted, I believe all of you minus him, voted that he should be banned. So this is not my program. This is not my group. This is not my stuff. This is our stuff. The show wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you guys, first and foremost. You guys are the show. You're the reason why we do it. So I'm not the dictator. I'm not the commander-in-chief. All right, I'm just a guy up here on a mic talking to people, giving you my philosophy, my opinion, my perspective. Maybe you agree or disagree with it. But the point is that if you want to participate and give another side, the floor is available. The lines are open. I've been monologuing for an hour and 20 minutes here, and, so far, nobody's called in. Let me just say that number again, just in case anybody out there wants to join in on this conversation. It's 360-450-5625. Again, 360-450-5625. Or you can email us, talk@onthemoveshow.com. If you're, feeling kind of nervous, you don't really want to be on the air, I get it. I started out the same way when I first started doing this show. But back to the topic at hand. Remove the F the Troops page. They wanted me to like it. I said no. I'm not going to like that page. But I wanted to ask what you guys thought about it. Do you guys support censoring the speech of someone that you disagree with? We got a bunch of comments on this post. And by the way, thanks for participating in this conversation, guys. One of our members said, I like hearing the mindset of other naysayers so we can counter them. For me, I completely agree with that. Geez, the most important thing about having someone saying the counter argument to what you're saying, like, I support the troops. All right, I give nothing but respect for the troops. And it's not to say anything. I'm not putting my military career up on a pedestal or anything. I think a lot of these people have made even greater sacrifices than I have. Honestly, and just so you guys know, and I want to clear the air about anything that anybody has, any kind of misconceptions about me. I never deployed. So for those of you out there, I was in the Air Force. I never deployed. I was stationed at a base that just really didn't deploy very much. Most bases, their mission is to train to deploy. That's what their base mission is. Mine, it was to secure nuclear weapons. That was our mission. So, out of everybody there, maybe one deployment or so would go, and it was basically a situation where you had to know somebody in order to deploy. You had to, pull a favor, basically. I was stationed in Wyoming. A lot of people didn't like being in Wyoming because there wasn't a whole lot to do, so everybody was pretty excited to get on a deployment and go somewhere else, and then they may get their base of preference and get to go to another base. So, long story short, I didn't deploy. I kind of wish I would. I would have liked to. That would have been great. But, it is what it is. For me, I really do think that so many people in the military, they've sacrificed a lot. You've deployed. Some people have had, times where they were deployed and their baby was born. Their wife was pregnant, or they're leaving a newborn child, or they're, just their family in general. You just leave for example, let's say you're a newlywed. A lot of these young people are. They're newlyweds. They join the military at a young age. They 18, 19-year-old. They got a wife, and they go deploy. Leave that wife alone for a year. I think that's a big sacrifice. And anybody who does that, you got to show just a crazy amount of respect for. That's my opinion. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not talking about myself. I'm talking about other people who've sacrificed so much more than I have. So. Okay, so some of these other comments about this F the Troops page, how they want to remove it from Facebook. One of our members, they said, no, sir, that page is the highest form of respect they could pay the troops. As a combat veteran, I am honored to see them exercising the rights that the troops swore an oath to defend. All I hear or see when someone spews hate or vitriol towards our troops and our veterans is thank you. I think that's a great way to look at it. It is... These people are fighting for your speech, even if it's speech against them. Another one of our members, freedom of speech is good, even when I don't like what's being said. Sworn to support and defend the Constitution means more to me than anything else. Have fun being an oath breaker if you are a veteran that succeeds in that page's removal. So now let's actually talk about the conflict here, because this is a gray area. All right, let me just point out one fact here, okay? And this is 100% true. Feel free to look into the Constitution yourself to verify me here. But the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, it doesn't protect you from companies. It doesn't protect you from individuals. It doesn't protect you from anybody but the government. And in fact, if you're talking about the federal Constitution, it protects you from the federal government. And then, they added an amendment, and there's some questions about the validity of it, that it makes it apply towards the other countries as well. Most people, mainstreamers, would say, yeah, okay, this is a legitimate amendment. I personally disagree. I believe it's the 14th Amendment that makes it apply to all the other states, the constitutional rights and the Constitution in general. It applies to state governments, local governments, because of the 14th Amendment. I personally don't really believe it's really that legitimate is the word I'm looking for. And the reason for that is because it was done after the Civil War, and I don't really want to get into this big long conversation. I'll try to give the cliff notes of this conversation real quick here. The Civil War was done. There's a conflict, and now the North is essentially conquering the South. The whole reason why the Constitution was signed in the first place is people came together, they made an agreement, they signed a contract. These are the terms of the contract, blah blah blah, and now they go and they form this government. Without threat of force, these people are doing this willingly, voluntarily. They're doing this, and then there's a disagreement. Somebody violates one of the terms of contract, which is the North saying, hey, we're going to remove slavery, and the South saying, hey, no, we didn't agree to that. We're going to get out of this contract now. Contract's null and void. And they try to go their separate ways. They call it Northern aggression. The North attacked, and they wanted to, again, Lincoln wanted to preserve the Union, which, okay, I mean, it's great that we have America as a whole. We're not two different countries, but however, legally, he didn't really have the authority to do that. He attacked a sovereign country that had established after the secession, and then after that, he military conquered them and started installing these other amendments, and he did so in a shady way, in my personal opinion. So I think the validity of these amendments are in question. However, let's say the average person would say, okay, well, this does apply. But in terms of this conversation, okay, let's backtrack here. The Constitution does not protect you from people or companies. It protects you from the government. And let's just say the government in general, just to satisfy everyone here, okay? Just the government. So Facebook, they don't have to honor your right of freedom of speech, especially if you're on their website, you're using their services. They don't have that same infringement. They can't necessarily infringe on your freedom of speech because you're using their services. It's just like, the freedom of travel. You have the freedom to travel. You have the right of movement. You can move anywhere you want, but you start coming on my private property, that's where your rights meet my rights. Now, this is private property rights versus speech rights in this case, or, in the other example I gave you as a freedom of movement case. There's a difference. Your rights do not supersede someone else's rights. So I think that Facebook absolutely could remove this page if they wanted to, especially if it violated some kind of morality clause or use clause in their terms of service, something along those lines, like a obscenity clause, something like that. I don't know if there is. And additionally, they are a company, so they may think it's profitable to remove this page. The F the Troops page. They may think it's beneficial to them because they, especially if there's a lot of users that support that and there's a groundswell, and they think, okay, well, we're going to lose a bunch of users on our stuff. People will start boycotting us if we don't do that. They may do that. Now, personally, I don't think they should. I think that they should just allow it to be out there, the F the Troops page. I wholeheartedly disagree, but hey, that's speech that I think that you should have. I want to hear it, especially from you, because I want to know where first of all, my opposition stands. I want to know their viewpoints, and I also want to know, just like if it was a racist comment, all right? This is the thing about speech, is that, the freedom of speech, essentially, it was never put there for the speech that we can all agree on. The speech that offends no one. that's not why we have a First Amendment. That's not it. That's not the reason. The reason is because there is speech that people will fundamentally disagree with and find very offensive, and that speech needs to be protected. Censorship is not the answer. Censorship is never the answer. Debate is the answer. More speech is the answer. Information, education. Not lies, not indoctrination, but information. Talking to one another about the issues, hearing where other people come from, and especially, too, I love the idea of everybody, what they believe is out there. So, for example, let's say you are a racist and you are saying your racist speech on the internet, or even in person. If you are doing that, I am happy that you're doing that. Thank you for doing that for so many different reasons, and I will tell you why. First one, I have the freedom of association, so I don't want to associate with people that are racist. I don't want to associate with people that are saying F the troops, So telling me where you stand is a big, big tip-off for me of your views, and allows me to associate with someone else. And let's talk about this freedom of association. Actually, let's talk about it when we come back. We're going to cut to a quick commercial break, and I want to talk more about how racism, and freedom of association kind of work together. So let's talk about that. I want to bring an article up here about an Oklahoma university, and we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere, guys.
I do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, and that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, pledging my life, my fortune, and my sacred honor. So help me God. Join us at oathkeepers.org.
Support On The Move. Help us make this podcast bigger and better. You can do this by going to our store and purchasing one of our hundreds of products. All designs are original and made for patriots like you. Just go to cafepress.com/OnTheMoveShow. We appreciate your support. Hi, I'm Latasha Worley, and I work with candidates to creatively and effectively communicate their message to voters. I offer professional graphic design services, from yard signs to flyers, from logos to vehicle magnets. Email me today at latashaworley@gmail.com. That's LATOSHA Worley@gmail.com for a quote on items for your campaign.
Broadcasting from deep within occupied territory on the far left coast. You're listening to On the Move with Mac Worley III. Stand up, speak out, and get on the move. And now your host, Mac Worley III.
All right, we're back. I want to read some of the posts that we have here in the Haywire Gulch Athletic Club group that we post a link to. By the way, for those of you who are unaware, haywiregulch.com is a place where we simulcast. They have a lot of other great radio hosts as well. They got Sounding Off with Tank and Tony, good friends of mine. I'm on their program every Saturday at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you ever want to tune in there, it's Haywire Gulch. Their show is from 6 to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, I believe. So feel free to check out there, and they have some other hosts on there that I haven't really met a whole lot of them yet, but I'm looking forward to getting to know them all. A lot of great people over there, though. The members in the group, I have conversations with you guys all the time, and it's really awesome. I'm very grateful that you guys have accepted me over there, and I feel really lucky to have met you guys. So thank you for bringing me in with open arms. It's really cool of you guys. So Anyway, on the post, we've had some comments here being made. One of our members there says, free speech has its limits. Defaming those that protect free speech is one of those limits. Another member said, facts matter and lawyers are too expensive to be just pissed off and sue someone. You learn your rights and what's not in the military real quickly. If you do not, you don't stay long. So, you know, it's as far as this whole racial tension thing, it's really frustrating for me. And the whole idea of like eliminating someone's speech, all right, just because they said something racist, which is of course deplorable. I mean, it's not. I'm not gonna want to hang out with that person if I find out that they're a racist. But there was a Oklahoma fraternity, and I'm trying to remember what university this was. I think the University of Oklahoma. Yeah, that's what it is. And the fraternity is Sigma Alpha Epsilon. And there's a video out there where they are recorded singing some very racist things about African Americans and how they will never be allowed to join SAE, their fraternity. And anyway, they ended up being kicked off of campus by the university president, David Boren, and he said, I have a message for those who have misused their freedom of speech in this way. He said, you're disgraceful. Though that may be true, all right, I completely agree that it is true. I want to talk about some differentiations here, okay? Some things that we need to clarify. Now, I don't know everything about this school, the situation, their funding, classifications, things like that. But I'm just going to generally talk about this scenario playing out, okay? Now, first and foremost, let's just remember, put it in the forefront here, the Constitution protects you from the government. The Constitution does not protect you from companies, private individuals, organizations, things like that. That's not what the Constitution's for, all right? Laws may protect you from the company or an organization or things like that, but those are laws. Those weren't in the Constitution. Those laws may have been put there for, protect the individual rights of citizens and stuff from these organizations, companies, individuals, things along those lines. But for me, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're just. And when we start talking about the history behind these kind of things, these kind of like anti-discrimination laws, why were they established? Because of the Jim Crow South, where people were refusing to serve, certain ethnicities, minorities, things along those lines. That was happening. However, I just want to point out one thing that's missing in this conversation almost entirely every time I hear about it. Jim Crow was enforced by the government. So these are laws that were enforced by the Southern government upon these businesses. These businesses had to, in order to stay in compliance with the law, they had to have a whites only, sign, or a minority drinking fountain or something like that. They had to have it Jim Crow style because that was the law. So the Constitution does protect you from the government, and that would be the government doing that. So I think it's important to give that historical context for this conversation. Now, in terms of this university, let's look at two different scenarios. First one, they're a private school, and second one, they are a public school. All right, let's start with the private. If it's a private school and it receives absolutely no money from taxpayers, well, then at that point, I would have no problem with this private school doing whatever it wants. It can ban the speech of individuals. It can lock it down. It can censor. It can say you have to believe in this one thing. Or it could be a racist school. It could say, hey, only African Americans are allowed to go here. Only people who are immigrants from Cambodia can go to this school. Everyone else we discriminate against. They could have it could be whites only school because it's private and it's not funded by taxpayers. Okay, which means no one is paying for this and they can't use it. No one is being discriminated against by this organization while funding it coercively, because that's what taxes is they come in and they shake you upside down, and whatever falls out of your pockets, that's what they keep, and it goes into all sorts of programs. So one of these, if it was a public school, it'd be funding through public money. But if it's private and it's paid for solely by the people who go to the school, they can do whatever they want. In my personal philosophical opinion, they could be racist, they could do that, and I believe that they have a freedom of association to do that. And now I believe that this school has every right to kick out a fraternity that's racist if they feel that it's detrimental to their business. That's what it is a business. If it's a private company, private organization, they can do that, or they can not. They could go either way. That's what I think. But obviously laws don't agree with me in this particular scenario. But, I want to know if somebody's racist. I want to know. I don't want them censored. I don't want them afraid to say their opinion. I want to know it, because if I know it, I also have the freedom of association, So if this school is a racist school and the school has only perpetuated this kind of society or this kind of just attitude within this group of racism, then I don't want to be a part of it, and I need to know that that's how they feel to avoid it. I need to know. I want to know. I think it's important that we all know these kind of things. That way we can avoid it and vote with our feet, essentially. But let's also look at the other side of the perspective here. What if it's not private? What if it received public money in some capacity? What if it got a bailout as a private company? What if if it's just a public school in general and is totally paid for by the public? Well, then at that point, it's getting money from people. And if it's deciding to be racist, if it's saying, okay, we're only going to let, this college is only going to be funded by, it's going to be funded by the public, but only black people are allowed to attend this college. All right? That's messed up, because white people and every other race, they're still having to pay tax money, and that tax money is still being used to support this kind of program that they can't even participate in. And it's by the government, okay? So more importantly, if it's affiliated with the government, the Constitution protects us against the government. So coming after our rights, infringing on our rights, things along those lines, discriminating against people, all that stuff, we are protected from that's what these civil rights are. We're protected from government, organizations, institutions, and I don't think that they can do that. This is just my opinion. Again, laws aren't going to agree with me, but not all the time, and it just depends on the circumstance. But this is just my philosophy. All right. So anyway, this fraternity, they were kicked off campus. There is no crime in the U.S. called hate speech, according to Paul Butler, a professor at Georgetown University Law School. So for me, again, I think this kind of goes to the same conversation as the Screw the Troops page, which, again, I disagree with both racism and that kind of opinion towards the troops, but I just... I honestly, I don't think that you need to get involved in that. I think these kind of things, once they peek their ugly head out, people will understand where they stand, and more racists will go to that kind of organization. That's fine. If those racists want to all join together in an organization, okay. I want to know. I want to know who they are. That's the same kind of thing. At least I know who they are. I know where they are. I know where all the racists are going. And it's a great thing, because it allows us to really use that freedom of association to not associate. There may be consequences, and I think people should be held accountable for their words. I think if you say something that leads to somebody being hurt physically, like, for example, Michael Brown's father, where he said, we should burn this place down, essentially, I'm paraphrasing, and then suddenly there was a riot, I believe that his freedom of speech should cost him. There are some costs to using your speech. There are consequences for our words and our actions. Just like if using your Second Amendment right, you go out and you start shooting, yeah, that was an action that you used, and you either hurt somebody or scared people, or you you menaced society, one of those kind of things. If you're shooting in public, yeah, you're not using your Second Amendment responsibly. Okay, you're not using that right to keep and bear arms responsibly. You shouldn't just go, shooting up in the air. That's dangerous. What if the bullet falls down and what goes up does come down? So what if the bullet comes down and kills somebody? Yeah, you should be held responsible for that. All right? If you incited a riot, you should be responsible for that riot. Now, if you just said, let's burn this mother down, and nothing happens, then yeah, you shouldn't be held responsible for anything because nothing happened. But you should be held responsible for your speech. And in doing that, it should, maybe boycotts. If you come out and you say, hey, I'm a racist, and I don't want to support any of these other groups, blah blah blah. If that's where you stand and you come out and say that kind of thing, there should be consequences for your words. Not that the government should punish you for it, but people should be free to associate with you or not. And if that affects you detrimentally, then great. I don't really care, because that's the free market. People have the right to choose, and it makes it easier for people to know who they're dealing with. But anyway, I want to move forward here to another story here. This one I find just really weird, and I don't really understand. I understand what the point of this is, but I don't understand why he said this. Obama has recently said that he thinks that voting should be mandatory. All right, let me read the article here. This is from FoxNews.com, written by Christina Corbin. Let's see here. This is published March 20th, 2015. Mandatory voting might be a big boon for the Democrat Party, but the idea President Obama floated this week of forcing Americans to show up at the polls and cast ballots is never going to happen, legal experts told Fox News. Obama made the comment while speaking to a civic group in Cleveland on Wednesday, noting that some countries require citizens to cast ballots in key elections. This is what Obama said. If everybody voted, then it would completely change the political map in this country. Obama said, calling it potentially transformative. Oh, we just love it when he uses that word, don't we? He said he was going to fundamentally transform America. Maybe this is part of his plan. Not only that, Obama said, but universal voting would counteract money more than anything. Now, this is another thing. Let me just point out several points in this article here. Number one, counteracting money. This is a big thing that the left perpetuates, that that they are against Citizens United and that they're against money in politics, but they're funded by billionaires with a B. Billionaires. They have George Soros, Bill Gates, Michael Bloomberg. The list goes on. Tons and tons of billionaires in there. Additionally, these politicians that talk about how they have so much in common with the everyday American, the middle class. They're out to help the middle class and by giving you subsidies and free things. However, these people are some of the richest people in the world. They're the 1% of the 1%, and they have literally nothing in common with you. And additionally, just to talk a little bit about some of the history, I find it amazing that the Democratic Party is the party of the minorities. It's at least in terms of optics. Okay, and what I mean is that the Republican Party is considered old white men. That's what they all believe. That's what all the kids think. Oh yeah, old white Republicans. So Democrats are cool. Republicans are old white racists. And grubby, wanting to always into their money, greedy billionaires, things like that. When these people are leading the Democratic Party, these kind of grubby billionaire, greedy people are leading the parties. And really, in terms of this, both parties are guilty of this. It's not just a one issue; it's a bipartisan issue. There's money on both sides. But I find it interesting that the Democratic Party has coined itself as like the party of equality, considering the civil rights movement was highly opposed by the Democratic Party. The people out there spraying the African Americans marching with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Those people who were spraying them with water hoses were the Democratic sheriffs. So the history of the Democratic Party, by the way, KKK was. Those used to be Democrats. The history of this party is one of racism and division. They're the party that insisted on a Jim Crow South. They're the party of this kind of stuff, but yet somehow people have forgotten, and now the Republicans are getting blamed with this white guilt. All these rich white men should feel bad about all this stuff, but they're not even the ones that did it. And additionally, let's just point out the fact that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was a Republican. He was a Republican and a gun owner. So there's that. Anywho, so another thing that they're talking about is if everybody voted, it would completely change the political map. Of course it would. Of course it would. Because people who don't vote, they tend to either, for several different reasons, but some of those reasons may be, they can't tell a difference between each party. They all are kind of the same, and what's matter because there's no bold differences, as Ronald Reagan said. Not pastels, but bold differences between these parties. They can't tell the difference. And actually, you know what? Since we're on this topic here, I'm going to play the speech from Ronald Reagan when he talked about bold colors. Here it is.
In spite of all our greatness, our people feel a sense once again, or a desire to feel a sense of greatness, a sense and a pride in their own capacity for performing great needs. We Republicans, I think, can do something about this, but not if we try to be all things to all people. There are some in our midst who've suggested that we should broaden our base, except that what they mean by broadening our base is to blur the image, to make us indistinguishable from the other party. Some have suggested that the 1974 election, the disastrous results, were an indictment of what we stand for. Well, may I suggest that the meaning of the last election will not be found among those who voted. It will be found by polling those who stayed home, the biggest non-voter bloc in our nation's history. And why did they stay home? Well, because they said they couldn't see any difference between the two parties. I think they're basically wrong, but I think this is also an indication of what our answer should be to those who would make us more like the opponents. I am a convert to Republicanism. I spent most of my adult life as a Democrat, and I can testify that when I found I could no longer follow the leadership of the Democratic Party, I became a Republican not because the parties were the same, but precisely because they were different. More than half of those who didn't vote have been polled and say it no longer makes any difference which party wins. Now some have taken another course. There are some among us, and I respect their views, who suggest that that means an end to the Republican Party, that we should form a new third party. May I suggest an alternative to that? Let's have a new first party, a Republican Party raising a banner of bold colors, no pale pastels, a banner instantly recognizable as standing for certain values which will not be compromised. Yes, we must broaden our base, but let's broaden it the way we did in 1972. Because those Americans, Democrats and Independents and Republicans, are still out there looking for a banner around which to rally. And we have what they want, what they're seeking. But they don't know that. And sometimes I wonder if we know it. Young people, your own companions, I'm told, are registering either Democrat or Independent, avoiding us in overwhelming numbers. Well, is this because of what we represent or what they think we represent? I know that in a poll of 35,000 college and university students, 80% of them said they wanted more individual freedom, less interference by government in their private lives. Well, isn't that what we want? Our banner should also proclaim our faith in the marketplace as the greatest provider for our people, and that we will eliminate needless regulations and restrictions that keep the marketplace from being able to provide the jobs our people need. And on that subject, let us also proclaim compassion for those who, through no fault of their own, cannot provide for themselves. See that their needs are fully met. But at the same time, let us say that all those who are able-bodied will be given an opportunity to work for their welfare grants. We will not make them lifetime recipients of a dole as clients of an ever-growing welfare bureaucracy. We must extend our compassion to that great group of unsung heroes, the working men and women of this country who ask nothing of government but to be left alone. They make the whole system work, but for a long time they haven't been fairly represented in government. Today they see themselves falling further and further behind, unable to afford the good life they've earned and deserve. Political demagogues for the last 4 decades have been appealing to the worst in it, the cupidity and selfishness of human nature. They've been telling us that each one of us can have a bigger slice of pie, but we have to help them take it away from someone else who's getting too big a share. Well, I think it's time for us to tell those political demagogues we can all have a bigger slice of pie if government will get out of the way and let the free enterprise system bake a bigger pie. James Burnham has said that even the most skillful surgeon, when operating on a Democratic politician, cannot separate demagogic from solid tissue without causing the death of the patient. Can anyone say that the banner that I presented so far does not represent what has been typical Republican philosophy, but does it not also represent what the people of this country, in an overwhelming majority, desire for themselves and the country today? Our party must stand for the traditional belief in a federation of sovereign states, of local autonomy and individual freedom. We didn't seek on the world scene the leadership that has been thrust upon us, but we can't abdicate that leadership without advocating our ability to keep the peace. We have seen in recent months little men with little minds in Washington tarnish our shield and rob us of credibility throughout the world. Make it plain to every friend and foe alike, every nation, that we will join any in seeking peace, but we will keep our commitments and we will not give away freedom not ours to give, nor will we sacrifice our own freedom. We will indeed sacrifice to maintain that freedom and peace throughout the world. One last line I think we have room for on our banner. Let us add a line that says, as a pledge, that never again will young Americans be asked to fight and die for their country unless the goal is victory. Thank you very much.
Okay, so that was Reagan on the bold colors that I was just talking about. So that's a big reason why a lot of people stay at home, is because they just can't tell difference. You know, Republican, Democrat, they are the same in a lot of cases. You know, in a lot of cases, Republican means Democrat light. You know, they try to be middle road moderates, try to be, you know, right down the middle there. And honestly, that detracts. You know, if you like Democrat policies, why are you going to vote for Republican? It's the light version of that. Why, if they give you a real choice between, you know, Republican values, actual like Jeffersonian Republican, maybe even some Libertarian values sprinkled in there, if they gave you that kind of choice, as opposed to big government, statist, federal people, you know, people who support the federal government jumping in and controlling every aspect of your life, you know, the Democrat Party, this is what it is, the welfare state, all these things. If you have the choice of freedom or government welfare, freedom or welfare, you know, people will choose. Some people will choose welfare. Some people will choose that. Some people like the idea that, you know, they got a bed, they got a meal. That's all they want out of life. You know, that's fine. But other people will choose freedom. And the people that are wanting and hungry for that freedom, they just don't see it in the Republican Party. I mean, there are some bright spots. I'm kind of encouraged by Ted Cruz. I'm not really sure how I feel about Rand Paul. Other than that, though, man, I'm not really interested in the Republican Party. You know, if it's not a Ted Cruz ticket as of right now, and again, I'm not telling you guys who to vote for. You vote for whoever you want. All right, I've got issues with Ted Cruz, but you know, he's a lot better. He's a different choice. He's a bold color as far as I'm concerned. He's a known quantity in a lot of areas. I know where he stands. Now, granted, I don't like his affiliation with the banks, but that's through his wife, and it's kind of difficult for me to hold a man accountable off of something somebody else has done, you know, and his affiliations with his wife. I mean, you know, me and my wife, we are completely different people, you know, and I wouldn't want anyone to you know, judge her based off of me or vice versa, so it's kind of difficult for me to hold Ted Cruz accountable for his wife that has working affiliations with the bank. So, I mean, it's whatever as far as I'm concerned. But I like his values. I like everything he said. I really like Ted Cruz, even though I haven't really wanted to. But I do. If Ted Cruz is running on a ticket with, let's say, Rand Paul as a VP or something, that would be something that would pull me away from where I currently stand. And I'm looking at Gary Johnson for the Libertarian Party. I hope he runs. But that's kind of what I'm leaning towards, because I can't really see a big difference between these parties. You know, we're talking Mitch McConnell, what's the difference between Mitch McConnell and Harry Reid? Really? I mean, really? Not a whole lot. Not a whole lot. So why does it matter? You know, they keep putting up these bleh candidates. They're just whatever. Nobody cares about these candidates. Yeah, we're going to keep losing. So now, as far as this mandatory voting thing, if people are forced to go out and vote, and we have these bleh candidates on the Republican side, obviously, if those who are able to see the clear policies of the Democrats, they can clearly see where the Democrats stand, they'll vote Democrat. And if they like those policies because they're more Democrat as opposed to the Republicans who are Democrat light. So why would you, if you like those policies, why would you vote for the lesser version of that? You should vote for the more version of that. If you like the welfare state, you vote Democrat because Democrats will give you more of that stuff. So, and additionally, a lot of people don't know, as we were talking about, don't know a lot about politics. So, they'll vote Democrat because they're uninformed and all they know is based off of what they learn on TV. Anyway, I want to come back to this article. I'm realizing now we're up against the clock here. It's almost 7 o'clock. That means HaywireGulch.com is going to be dropping off here. We're going to continue into the Overdrive Hour coming up here, guys. If you're on Haywire Gulch, thanks for sticking with us. For the rest of you, stay tuned at OnTheMoveShow.com, and we're going to be doing the Overdrive Hour over there. And again, Haywire Gulch, thanks for joining us today, guys. And I really appreciate you guys, tuning in week after week. So thanks so much. Anyway, we're going to cut to a commercial break, and when we get back, we'll be on the other side of the Overdrive Hour, starting the third hour. All right, we'll be back.
Oath Keepers is a nonpartisan association of current active duty military, reserve, guard, veterans, peace officers, and firefighters who will fulfill the oath we swore, with the support of like-minded citizens who take an oath to stand with us, to support and defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. So help us God. Join us at oathkeepers.org.
Support On The Move. Help us make this podcast bigger and better. You can do this by going to our store and purchasing one of our hundreds of products. All designs are original and made for patriots like you. Just go to cafepress.com/OnTheMoveShow. We appreciate your support. Hi, I'm Latasha Worley, and I work with candidates to creatively and effectively communicate their message to voters. I offer professional graphic design services, from yard signs to flyers, from logos to vehicle magnets. Email me today at latashaworley@gmail.com. That's LATOSHA Worley@gmail.com for a quote on items for your campaign.
Broadcasting from deep within occupied territory on the far left coast. You're listening to On the Move with Mac Worley III. Stand up, speak out, and get on the move. And now your host, Mac Worley III.
All right, we're back. If you're listening, this is the beginning of the third hour. We are in the overdrive hour of our broadcast. If you're listening, you're doing so in one of two ways now. You're either on OnTheMoveShow.com, that's our hub, or you are on Spreaker.com/OnTheMoveShow. And by the way, if you're on there, or even if you're not, I would really appreciate it if you would follow us on Spreaker. That way I know how many of you guys are out there. You get all the updates about what's going on with the show. If and we have an emergency broadcast throughout the week. If there's something that I really want to get out to you guys, I may one day start doing another show, additional shows or something, emergency broadcast shows. Also, I'm curious, how many of you out there would be interested in a Monday through Friday show of this? We do it once a week, and I always feel like we're rushed. That's why I really appreciate the overdrive hour. It really helps out. But is there a demand for what we're doing Monday through Friday? I'd like to know. What do you guys think? I'm happy to do it as long as people are listening. So anyway, So, with that said, I want to continue on off the conversation we were having. We were talking about this mandatory voting article that was on Fox News, and Obama was talking about how he wishes that everybody could vote, and if it was mandatory, it could be potentially transformative. Not only that, but Obama said that universal voting would counteract money more than anything. So, universal voting is mandatory voting. Again, don't you like the little double speak that they put on things? Universal health care. It's really mandatory health care. That's what it is. Mandatory health care. Universal. They add universal to something. It sounds great. Oh, universal. That means everybody in the whole universe gets to vote. No, you're going to have to vote. You have to vote. Now, this would obviously benefit the Democrats, okay? And this is the same kind of concept. Democrats, they are a big fan of catering to their bases. They know what they're doing. The people that are out there trying to take away your rights, grow the federal Leviathan, those people know what they're doing. They get it, all right? They placate to these people who they know is their base. Like, for example, people who want free stuff, welfare people. I'm not saying that all welfare people will vote for Democrats, but they have an incentive to. That's what I'm saying, is that if you know that one particular political party is going to continue to give you things and another one is going to continue to try to take away those things that you're getting, then you're going to be more inclined or more motivated, I would say, to vote for the one that's going to give you things instead of taking them away. That makes sense, right? So, again, welfare recipients, people who get food stamps, things like that. And it's not disparaging on those people. No, it's not saying that they will all vote Democrat. I'm just saying they have an encouragement. They have an incentive to vote for these things, okay? And it's not a disparagement, the fact that you're on those programs. I'm not judging people for being on those programs. Not at all. And you may be, completely informed, and you may understand. You may be on hard times, and I get it. Believe me, I understand, especially in this economy, But as far as as far as other groups that have incentives, for example, immigrants, illegal immigrants. Obviously, if Obama waves his magic wand and gives illegals amnesty, these people are going to vote for Democrat because those are the people that made them citizens. So, yeah, obviously they have an incentive to do that. So, and this is just the same here. What incentive does the Democrat Party have to force people to vote? What incentive is there? The incentive is that they will vote. Most of them will be voting as uninformed voters because they weren't voting in the first place, or because they either couldn't tell the difference in the party, or because they're just uninformed and apathetic about politics and things like that. But if it's necessary and required for you to vote, uninformed people who probably should stay out of the conversation that's being had if they don't understand what we're talking about, what we're voting on, things like that. If they don't want to take the time to educate themselves and listen and try to figure out what's going on, and they just vote without knowing anything, they should probably stay out of it. That's just my personal opinion. They have a right to vote, and they have a right to do that, but that's just my opinion. But as far as, forcing people to do this, you're going to get an influx of apathetic, low information or no information voters who are very likely to vote Democrat because that's popular. It's cool. It's trendy to be a Democrat. It's cool to be a liberal. Yeah, bro. I'm a liberal. All right, man. That's the cool thing nowadays. All the cool kids are liberals, right? Well, personally, this to me is despicable. It's just another one of those vote tactics that they're using. I think this is even more despicable than gerrymandering, where they try to rig the political voting, what do they call them, regions, I guess, is where the votes are tallied up. They rig those voting regions up in a way that will make them win their vote. The people get in power, and then they change around the districts, the voting districts, and it's called gerrymandering, and it's kind of messed up. So, by the way, if you guys don't know, gerrymandering actually, I'm trying to remember the history on this. If I'm remembering correctly, the guy's name was Jerry something. I don't know everything, but he had Jerry in his name somewhere. The first guy that did this, and he set up a little district here for voting. He reorganized the districts, and it kind of looked like a salamander. And that's where the term gerrymandering came from, is because he made the district kind of look like a salamander. It was a real unorthodox way to do it. Most of these were just kind of blocks or circles or very geometrical shapes, very clear cut. But this was one of the first times that it's ever been done like this, and that's why they call it a gerrymandering. Pretty interesting, I thought. But I digress. As far as the right to vote. Now, rights are rights, but they're not obligations. Okay, so I have the right to express myself. I'm actually not obligated to express myself, though I do it. I choose to do that. I have the right to keep and bear arms. I'm not obligated to do that. And additionally, I have the right to vote, but I'm not obligated to do that. So, that's not what rights are. Rights are not obligations. And the government's not supposed to be using the Bill of Rights as a list of things that we have to do. That's not what the Bill of Rights is. It's not a big list of things that we're required as citizens to do. It's a big list that the government can't do to us. That's what it is. It's a big list of things that the government cannot do. That's the whole reason why it was made. It wasn't meant to make us obligated to do something. All right? And let's be clear. We are the masters. The government serves us. Who the hell is the government to tell us to do anything? That we have to do anything? I gotta buy a product now in order to be a legal citizen with you? Screw you, government. You work for me. I tell you what to do. You don't tell me what to do. Unbelievable. But let's switch this argument up. How ridiculous would it be if politicians came out, and by the way, this happened in I believe it was in Georgia, but how ridiculous would it be is, okay, well, you have a Second Amendment right, now it's an obligation. You have to carry a gun. All these liberals would be up in arms, literally. That's funny, actually. I didn't mean that to be a joke, but seriously, though, they would be up in arms. They'd be so upset that they're now forced to, in order to abide by a law, to carry a gun, because they're so divisive about it. That they don't want to do it. Nobody should be forced to do something that they don't want to do. No one. And especially, talk about laws, okay? Let's look at the laws. I've said this before. Every law essentially means that if you don't follow this, when push comes to shove, we think that you deserve to be killed by the government if you don't follow that law. That's what a law is. Speed limits, anything, any kind of law that you imagine. Having a tag on your dog, or forced vaccinations for your dog, vaccinations for people, all of these things. When push comes to shove, if you say no, stand up against it. What you are saying when you support a law is that if somebody doesn't follow this law, they deserve to die. If they stand up and oppose it, all right, because that's what can happen. Force will be conducted. This person could try to defend themselves from the force being used against them and be killed. But that's what laws are, is force. Some things, it's okay. We say it's okay to use force in certain situations for the good of society, for, public order, things along those lines. Like, obviously, murder, bad. If you get caught doing murder, all right, well, you probably deserve to die, If you violate someone else's rights by stealing their private property, you've taken that risk, and you're the one that put yourself in that position where you could possibly die. But when you're committing a crime that has no victim, i.e. voting, universal voting, health care, even the war on drugs, all right, if somebody wants to go out and smoke a little dope, what does it matter? What does it matter? Who is it hurting but that individual? And the whole idea that you're going to punish the individual or possibly kill the individual because they're hurting themselves is ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense. Oh, doing drugs will ruin your life, so if you do drugs, we'll ruin your life by sending you to jail, or if you fight this kind of coercion, this force put upon you, we're going to kill you for doing drugs because it can ruin your life. This whole idea, it's illogical. It doesn't make sense. So imagine one day somebody decided, no, I'm not going to vote. I'm not going to vote. I'm not going to. Oh, you're going to try to put force on me. I'm going to defend myself. And now that person dies because they didn't want to vote. Just look at Eric Gardner. All right? Eric Gardner was killed for selling cigarettes. And why? Why was he killed for selling cigarettes? Because the government didn't get their cut. And it's a crime. Okay, so we're really going to go around killing people for not paying taxes. That's what happened in this circumstance. Is the government didn't get their cut. I don't believe that it was a racially motivated incident. I also don't believe it was purposeful. I don't think they meant to kill him, but that's what happens in force. When you are using force against another, you're opening yourself to the possibility that it can come down to that person dying. That's what force is. So that's why I don't really think that we need a whole lot more laws. I think we need to just enforce the laws we have on the record and get rid of some of the other ones that aren't there to protect somebody. They're not there to prevent somebody from becoming a victim. And if somebody wants to victimize themselves, that's up to them. There may be some mental health issues at stake there, but that's not a law enforcement issue. That's a mental health issue. It's different entirely. So voting, universal voting, I think is egregious. I think obviously if this took place, the Democrats, there would be no such thing as a Republican Party, just so you know. There would be no such thing. It would be ridiculous. The amount of people that would vote for the Democratic Party because they don't know, because all they know is what they've seen on television shows like Scandal, which paint the Democrats out to be the good guys, the Republicans to be the bad guys. And it's weird in that show because they got a Republican in office who's really a progressive. He's a Democrat. So he's for these Democratic policies, and he's anti really everything that Republicans are supposed to stand for. Anyway, I digress. I don't want to really talk about that show. I happen to watch that show. My wife enjoys it. So, we sit there and we watch it, and she yells at me for commenting about it and things like that. But anyway, these are things that they get. They get this perspective from these television shows. It's all they know about it. They're uninformed, low information, or no information. And they would go out and vote, and they would vote Democrat because that's what they know. That's the only side that they keep getting hammered into their head. As Attorney General Eric Holder has said, they've been brainwashed. They think about things radically different. And this is what it is. We got liberal Hollywood helping push that agenda. It's just kind of the way things are. That's why television is a weapon of mass destruction. It really is. Unless you have already had your political philosophy ingrained, you've already understood, or you're at least open to more conversation on it, it can be a really dangerous tool. And it's a tool that the left uses very, very well. And again, I have a lot of respect for the intelligence of these individuals. Not for the way that they use their intelligence, but I think that it's important to respect the dangers that these people pose to our liberties. All right. Now, I don't respect the individuals, but I do have a healthy respect for what they're doing, because I know they're not stupid. You know what I mean? These people are masterminds. These people are so smart. They're way smarter than I am. I'm just astounded at the tactics that they use against us. They're great. They know what they're doing. Our political enemies in this situation, those who want to increase the federal Leviathan, those that want to take away your rights systematically, they are not stupid. They are working diligently and hard to do it. So in return, you have to do the same thing. We were talking earlier in this episode about not compromising. That's what it's going to take. It's going to take all of us to stand up, say no, speak out, use our words, use our actions. I'm not calling for violence. I just want to be clear. I'm not calling for violence, but educate people, participate in debates, try to convert people, try to, get someone to open their eyes to another angle or perspective that they may not have previously heard about or even knew existed. If we all don't become zealots to the point of where we are uncompromising in our beliefs, we refuse to compromise our rights away. If we say no and stand up together, I don't believe that anyone can take away our rights at that point. I think that we can start gaining ground instead of losing it. We are attacked on all sides every day. They're coming after our children with 50 different ways. Television is one of them. Schools is another. Our kids are getting indoctrinated before we even get an opportunity to talk to them. They're going after younger and younger children because they know that if you instill these values at a young age, these progressive values, you can really have a major effect, and it makes the parents have to dig a hole out. That's why these teachers, they don't want the parents involved in their children's education. They say, your children belong to the state. They don't belong to you. They belong to everyone. That's this progressive ideology that's perpetuated by, different lefty organizations as well. It's pretty crazy when you really think about it. How many sides we're being attacked on, and I'm just tired of it. I really am. I'm just tired of it, and we all need to just be tired of it. It's not enough just to be tired of it and silent, though. You have to do something. You have to help move that dial forward. You have to stop compromising. You have to explain your side instead of just letting the left go out there and control the narrative. You have to challenge them on the issues. You have to understand their argument. By the speech that they say, you have to listen to what they're saying. Find the counter argument that works against it, because their arguments are illogical. Their arguments are emotional. And that means that it's easy to come up with a rebuttal for them. Extremely easy. All you have to do is think. And I hope that's what you're doing. I hope you're thinking. If you take nothing out of this entire show, I want you to think. Please think before it's illegal. Think. Think for yourself. Help others think for themselves. Engage with others. Get on the move. That's what this show is about. I want to inspire you guys. I want you guys to be your own leaders. I want you guys to start your own thing, whatever that thing is. Just do it. Each of us knows what we can do. And it's as simple as just talking to people and trying to educate people. That's great. But it's going to take all of us to do it, and not even just that. It's not just going to take just me and you doing it. You're going to have to encourage someone else. You're going to have to inspire others. And hopefully those others that you inspire will inspire others as well. Hopefully it'll hit some kind of critical mass, and then we'll all be pushing the dial of liberty forward. But that's what it'll take. That's what it will take. It's not going to take us reaching across the aisle and just making more compromises with these people that want nothing but to take away our rights and enslave us to the federal Leviathan. The whole concept, too, that the government can protect you. The idea that the government can provide every single thing for you is just ridiculous. First of all, they can't. They don't give you anything without taking it from someone else. So they obviously have to take from somebody. And there's not enough money out there to give to everybody. It's just not. So eventually they run out of other people's money to take. Or those people that they're just getting their money taken from them, they go somewhere else. They realize that, this society is just bending me over a table here, and I'm not getting anything out of this here. All I'm doing is losing money, and it's going to other people. I'm just going to take my business elsewhere and vote with my feet. So eventually, there's too many people in the cart and not enough people pulling it. And we've got to convince people to get out of the cart. That's the goal. Anyway, guys, I sure do appreciate you tuning in today. I had a good time as usual. And I just want to thank you guys, members of the Mac Pack, for tuning in week after week. You guys are awesome, by the way. You guys are great. Thanks for all the comments that you made on the post that we had this week. I had a really good time. I liked looking at some of your analysis. And if you have anything else you want to comment on any of this stuff, feel free to comment on any of our posts. I'll check all of the stuff myself. You can get us on Twitter at OnTheMoveShow.com. Feel free to at OnTheMoveShow. Feel free to follow us there. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/OnTheMoveShow. Like us on Facebook.com/OnTheMoveShow. And feel free to message us on there. I'm happy to respond to you guys. Also, please, please, please Follow us on Spreaker.com/OnTheMoveShow and share the show. If you like what we're saying, if you want to spread the message of liberty, you want to maybe have a conversation with your friends about it, share the show, talk about it. I would appreciate it. I really would. I mean, this is the way that we get bigger, is by word of mouth. You know, I don't have any fancy advertising apparatus or anything like that. I have you guys. You know, we are what we make this show. You know, this show will be what we make it. It'll either stay the same, or it'll get better, or it'll get worse. One of the two. But the size of the audience and stuff, it's all based on you guys. So word of mouth goes a long way, and I sure would appreciate it if you would share the show and talk about it with your friends and family, things like that. Social media, all that good stuff. Download the podcast, all that great stuff. And also, don't forget to check us out every week. We broadcast every Sunday, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at OnTheMoveShow.com, and we simulcast every Sunday as well on HaywireGulch.com. So anyway, I appreciate you guys tuning in today. I had a great time. And again, thank you so much. You guys are awesome. So as always, know your rights, assert your rights, and get on the move.